Obviously, since the last time we spoke, when I was last behind this microphone last Saturday, there has been a seismic change in the world. And, I've been thinking a lot. And actually, my producer and I, we talk to each other during the week and we share stories that have caught our eye. And I have been talking to her about how to respond to the news that Donald Trump is going to be the next president of the USA. And one of the things that I was concerned about is I had heard texts that had been sent into this studio aimed at other liberal commentators, liberal colleagues of mine, people like James O'Brien. And they said things like, I can't wait for your meltdown when Donald Trump is elected the next president. I can't wait to drink your liberal tears. And that got in my head a bit. And I thought, I really don't want to let people who would send a text like that, I don't want to let them win by having precisely the kind of liberal meltdown that they are anticipating when they send a message like that. And then I thought about it a little bit more and I thought, no, that's not right. Because I'm not upset because my quote unquote team didn't win. I think it's a classic example of people like that projecting their feelings onto the people that they professed to hate or to disagree with. Because had Kamala Harris won the next presidential, the election to become the next president, then they would have been very upset that their team didn't win. But above and beyond that, there wouldn't have really been any material difference made to their lives or the things that they care about. And my upset, my distress about this just goes way beyond anything that can be described as having the hump because my team didn't win. It's so much bigger than that. I am devastated for the women of the United States, who many of whom have already had their right to choose taken away, but will run much higher risk of suffering and dying from miscarriage and pregnancy complications because of the anticipated total abortion ban that is coming. I am desperately sad for all of the Americans who will have to watch their children die of preventable diseases because Trump looks set to hand control of the nation's health over to a vaccine skeptic and is reportedly considering a vaccine ban. I'm absolutely heartbroken for all the Ukrainians who have spent years fighting for their country and will now probably have to see it carved up and handed over to a global bully and Trump's best mate. I'm also gutted for the people of the Middle East, who will now likely not see a two-state solution for peace in Israel and Palestine for a really long time. I'm weeping for the planet. It's devastating to think that our planet is going to have to endure even more abuse from humankind because the leader of the most powerful country in the Western world doesn't believe in man-made climate change. And I'm heartbroken for all the victims of rape and assault and harassment who now know they've been given the message, haven't they, that the injustice that they have faced and had to endure means nothing because somebody like their perpetrator can end up in the White House. And of course, I'm scared for transgender people, for the LGBTQ community more broadly, for Black people, for other people of colour, for immigrants, for refugees, all of whom have had this despicable, dehumanising attitude towards them normalised. And when that happens, we know that despicable, dehumanising policies inevitably follow. And you know what who I'm also sad for? I'm sad for the American people who voted for Trump because they thought it would make their groceries and gas cheaper. Because according to Bloomberg forecasting, Trump's plans to deport millions of immigrants and slap tariffs on everything will plunge the United States into, at very least, a recession and at worst, a depression. So yes, I did cry this week. And if you're listening to this, celebrating my distress and fantasizing about how you would drink my liberal tears, then frankly, you crack on with that, mate. Because what I ultimately concluded, having contemplated all of that and all of the reasons why I was upset, is that if I didn't have this liberal meltdown, that's really letting you win. Because you've not only silenced me, but you've stopped me from expressing my empathy and concern for all of those groups of people. So yeah, I am scared and I'm distressed. And one of the things that I'm scared and distressed about is what I would like to talk to you about this hour, which is this idea that the UK is next. So much analysis that I've seen of what happened to deliver Trump that victory. And the consensus is, at least from what I've read and heard, that it was about the Democrats getting it catastrophically wrong more than it was about Trump getting anything right. And that's kind of that is backed up by the popular vote, because whilst the Republicans lost approximately 3 million votes since 2020, the Democrats hemorrhaged 15 million votes. So my question to you this hour is, if we don't want to be swept along on this tide of hatred and rolling back of rights for women and billionaires winning life even more than they have already and the rest of us having to suffer, what do we do? How do we fight back against that? And specifically, I want to ask, what can Labour learn from what the Democrats got wrong to ensure that they don't go through exactly the same thing in 4 or 5 years' time?